Shalom and blessings to you all saints. I'm so grateful for your patience, those of you who've taken time to wait for us to begin. We're not religious in terms of how we function by traditions of men. So I'm grateful for your understanding, and although we have a time that's set for us to normally be here together, things happen, and it's not the devil. I'm so grateful, and if you don't mind, as you join the broadcast, please indicate to me that you hear me clearly, and you'll also see me clearly. We've been having some tremendous issues with e-networks. I don't know what's happening to them, but it's good to see you here. Those of you on the east coast of the USA, we've sprung forward, so we are at the same time in reference to the Eastern Caribbean regions. Therefore, we don't have this 1 hour difference any longer. I welcome you to the broadcast. Hopefully today I will not be I just said I will not be coughing as much as I did last week, but it is well, and we shall have a highly sensitive conversation, one that I know would cause many, even of you who are called saints, to be very uncomfortable, because this lands guilt squarely at your feet. But Yahweh is faithful. Somebody's asking for volume. Now, if you don't hear me clearly, it's possible that you may have to increase the volume on your phone, on your device, whatever you're using, or use earpieces. There are others who I would await the feedback from. Please let me know whether you hear me clearly, because this broadcast is absolutely critical. It is significant. There's a prophetic utterance herein. I've been released to say this to you, and I shall. Can you hear me clearly, and can you also see me clearly? Good. See, I know that for some people the sound is good. This is such a major moment for those of you who follow my teachings. Why is it so? Because you can, as I speak to you, be able to relate to some of you can already do so, to the fact or the truth that I would have told you about the spirit of the Antichrist, the spirit of the anti-Messiah, which is already at work in the earth. I told you about it. It is not at work in a particular region of the earth and found or not found in another. The scripture records to the church at Thessalonica, Show the apostle wrote that the Antichrist spirit, the spirit of the anti-Messiah, is already at work. Now, how do you understand the nature of that spirit? We have been in the book or the documentation called the Revelation of Yeshua to Yochanan, where Yochanan got a revelation. One of Yeshua's disciples got a revelation of his Messiah. It's important. He walked with Messiah for 3+ years. He saw Messiah transfigured, Yeshua the Messiah, on the mount. It was never called the Mount of Transfiguration. He saw Yeshua, our Messiah, be transfigured, take on a spiritual form. He saw that. Yet, when Messiah left, Yahweh chose to give him, Yochanan, who was beloved by Yeshua, Yahweh chose to give him a revelation or an unveiling of who Messiah really is. And who Messiah really is connected to the people of Messiah. I hope you hear that. Yahweh has covenant with a people called Israel. They are Hebrew people. Yahweh does not have covenant with any other nation. He has no covenant with Ashkenazis. He has no covenant with those who came from the Caucasus Mountains. He doesn't have covenant with anyone but those who are of the lineage of Abraham. Why is this important? Because of many other nations he shall incorporate, or he has chosen to graft in to the commonwealth of Israel, according to the letter to the Ephesian church, who said that you are now citizens of the commonwealth of Israel. And you know what it is to obtain citizenship, especially those of you in the USA who were not born there. this is critical for the church to understand. Your God has no covenant with any other people or any other nation. The only people who he will save, hear me carefully, are those who are classified as Hebrew. So for some people among the Gentile nations, he made you Hebrew. Romans chapter 2 records the same, that you're not Hebrew by your outward appearance, but by the inward circumcision of your mind. So there's some people who he would have made Hebrews so that he could make the true natural Hebrews jealous. That's recorded in the letter to the Romans. This introduction is critical because the degree of offense based on this message today would be so high that the wicked will not take time to refer to anything I've said at the beginning. They will truncate, they will edit possibly what I will say, and then throw it out there as if I care. I have warned you, saints, that you should not bow. You were never saved to bow to the system of this world. Somebody needs to type that. You were never, or I was never saved to bow to the systems of this world. If you are a saint of the Most High Yah, it means that you were saved by the Most High Yah. Shalom, my sister Shalita. You were not saved to bow to the systems of this world. The moment you find yourself under any circumstance, even regarding your employment, once you find yourself bowing to the world system, you are bowing to a system that the spirit of the Antichrist has implemented. You're not safe to do that. You can comply with what is legal for as long as it does not contradict the path of righteousness that you're on. Driving on the left-hand side of the road in Guyana is not a problem. It doesn't bother me. Driving on the right-hand side of the road in the US shouldn't be a problem for you either. That's fine. Being told that you have to be licensed to drive, that's okay. Because it creates a safe environment for many people. Although many who are licensed now are just reckless and insane. I'm speaking to those in Guyana. That's not a problem. Saying that I need a passport, an immigration document to travel, it's not an issue either. However, once you begin to legislate anything that speaks to my conviction spiritually and tell me that I have to call a man or woman, for example, no way. And you know you get the point. So if there becomes a law, as there is, or they are pushing for it to be in Canada, that you, the person, must accept another person telling you to call me they. And one individual, they is a plural pronoun. And somebody in Canada say, call me they. And you have to do it. If you're a saint and you bow to that system, you are a victim of the spirit of the anti-Messiah. You are not functioning as a saint. I shared with you very clearly that the spirit of the anti-Messiah, according to the letter to the church of Thessalonica, the spirit of the anti-Messiah is already at work in the earth. Calling yourself Christian does not exempt you from being bound by the spirit of the anti-Messiah. Calling yourself a saint does not exclude you from being bound by the spirit of the anti-Messiah, because if you behave as though you are controlled by him, maybe you are. Saying Yeshua doesn't exempt you from being controlled by the spirit of the anti-Messiah, because you can say Yeshua because of intellectual reasons. You just know they make sense, that somebody's name doesn't change, especially you cannot change my name. Yeshua may be the only person who people believe that they have the authority to change his name. Now they say in Jersey, the curriculum from middle school has to include LGBT in history class. In history class, it has been passed. And there are many churches in New Jersey. We're also going to speak today about the plight of Azruddin Mohamed. He's Muslim. He's called the official leader of the opposition. That's a constitutional term. And I want to tell you that Guyana is in trouble. Because being Muslim does not exclude you. Being Hindu doesn't exclude you from the spirit of the anti-Messiah. And Azruddin has got a perfect experience. I shared with you all, saints, that the Antichrist has no interest in money. The interest of the Antichrist is in power. The scripture records that he was given power. He wasn't given money. The anti-Messiah was given power, not money. Because once the Antichrist is given power, money will always be attached to power. That is why the People's Progressive Party in Guyana, the Democrats in the USA, the PNC in Guyana, whatever you are, they fight for power, not money. Whoever has their hand on power, when they corrupt, know that money is automatic. Ibrahim Traore has power. Therefore, he's not broke. He therefore controls what happens to money. Let's speak to this war in Iran that the Spirit of Yahweh has impressed upon me to address the church about. And that will transition us to the Mohamed situation in Guyana, to Kamala Prasad Bissessar situation in Trinidad and Tobago. Because you'll see what's happening here and how much it confirms what I've been teaching you over the past few weeks. Now you may understand why Yahweh has had us for so long speaking about the spirit of the anti-Messiah, because you can't tell me now that you don't know certain things. You cannot say now that you are ignorant of certain things, and anyone who wants to challenge me, you have got a series of messages, a series of broadcasts to which you can refer at any point in time. So I don't have to explain myself to any one of you. You know exactly where to go to find what I've said. This war in Iran is unlike any other that you've seen in recent history. The US is calling it a military operation because the President of the United States cannot in himself and by himself declare war against any nation. That has to be an act of Congress. But what the President can do, or say, as with Obama and bin Laden, let's say, listen, we're engaging in a military operation. It's not a war. Our nation's interest is being threatened, our safety is being threatened, and therefore we're going to be engaged in a military operation. It's not called a war. But I've classified as war because I know that you who have eyes to see can see. You've never seen this in recent history. Some of you have never seen this since you've been born. And I don't recall it happening in recent history, where a nation that's deemed according to Islam, because Islam teaches you that if you don't believe in what the Prophet Muhammad says or the Quran teaches, you are an infidel. You are an unfaithful person. That's written. This happens to be the holiest month of the year for Muslims, and I'll share with you why that's important. In the holiest month of the year, called Ramadan, when Muslims are supposed to be at peace, they never used to normally fight then. You fast, you focus on cleansing yourself, on being pure and everything else. This is when the nation that's deemed an infidel, it's either decide this is time to begin to attack these people. It's been revealed to me by the Spirit of Yahweh how the Antichrist spirit is involved. For the first time in some of your lives, you're seeing a nation called an infidel attacking a Muslim territory, killing the most powerful Muslim, the Ayatollah, in terms of spiritual leadership, executing him and others who are with him. And nations who are also fasting, not churches as you're doing in a Daniel fast story. No, these are entire nations called Islamic nations. In Saudi Arabia and other places, you dare not do certain things during Ramadan. So I don't know how some of you Guyanese are so liberal, and some of you from the Western Caribbean are so liberal when you're home. But when you put your foot in Saudi Arabia, that some of you think is called Dubai, suddenly you know that when they're fasting, even though you're Christian, you have to respect what they do. You don't walk with your head out. You don't expose yourself during this period of time. What makes you so obedient? Because you're well aware of the consequences and how seriously these people take their belief. So with that said, where can some of you find a record of an infidel described by Muslims as such attacking a Muslim nation while they are fasting, and other Muslim nations decide that since, well, the Muslim nation was attacked, decide, Iran say, okay, well, since you have military bases in these other nations around us, we'll launch rockets at them. Now, these are Muslims who are launching weapons at Muslim nations, targeting U.S. interests, as according to what they're saying. But where are the U.S. bases found? Saudi Arabia, a 100% Muslim nation, not a Christian nation, 100% Muslim, has decided that they will attack a fellow Muslim nation. I hope that you hear me quite clearly. An infidel, according to what Islam would describe the US to be, and worse, Trump to be, started an aggression against these people. And during the month of Ramadan, when you expect Muslims to get together as brothers to defend what they all believe in, they are now fighting against each other and are launching projectiles, missiles, and deadly weapons against each other to show the world, in one instance, that we are with the USA. When have you ever heard that? That when they are fasting in the holiest period, they have found cause to attack each other. Let me present to you with the spirit of the anti-Messiah in this situation. Because I told you by the Spirit of Yahweh that the anti-Messiah is about power. The spirit of the anti-Messiah is always about wielding power. Now, when you wield power, attached to that is worship. You'll understand me today even if you don't want to. Worship is only demonstrated when someone understands, values, respects, and in some cases, fear power. You will only worship Yahweh if you fear him, if you understand how he operates, if you value him. You will never bow yourself down, which is what worship means, if you don't respect Yahweh. So the nations who have to bow to the USA are those who are afraid of the consequences. Apostle Thomas, remember, there was a war between Iran and Iraq, and nations began to empower Iran, and some empowered Iraq to fight each other. But we've never seen so many nations deciding that while they fast, and somebody from the outside decide that will bomb you, they decide, okay then, if an infidel attacks my brother, I'll attack my brother with the infidel too. That doesn't normally happen in Islam. But it's happening now because of the spirit of the anti-Messiah. That spirit is operating in a person who says to others, you had better, in essence, support our position. Because if you don't support our position, then we're going to leave you on your own. Important for you to note, saints, is that you can never defeat someone who doesn't fear dying. When someone goes to war or to fight, and their conviction for fighting is spiritual, you don't defeat that person. You may win a battle, but you don't ever defeat the individual. Because one side fights without fear of dying, since in their mind they are doing it. They are doing that as a religious duty. The other side is attacking based on fear of what those who are not afraid to die will do to them. Fear breeds torment. The other thing the Spirit of Yahweh revealed to me, and I say this to every saint in the USA and in all what you call developed nations of this world, especially the USA. Hear me clearly, please. Avoid, stay away from, as much as possible, malls and anywhere where there are large gatherings. Do not go around them. For what this fight has become is not about oil, it's not about water, it's not about gold, not about diamond. This is about two very important things. One, the Muslims who are devout people, you have launched an attack in disrespect to our time of fasting and to destroy a spirit. The most powerful Islamic leader in the world is the Ayatollah. So when you touch him, you touch a belief system. I am warning you, saints, that on your soil there can be, and there would most likely be, retaliation. Because when someone believes that their actions are being done in service to their God, take note. I see my son say, Dad, I work here. You do work there. Be extremely vigilant. Be extremely cautious. I see Chow Pao. Good to see you, my brother. Listen to me. to attack Muslims in the month of Ramadan is to attack a belief system. It's to show that you have no regard for people's spiritual values. Here's what I find interesting that's even deeper. The second cause. What are the chances? And I want you to hear me very clearly. That certain files have been declassified, or what you call unredacted, meaning they've taken away the cover from some of them. Okay? Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, one of the most perverted, twisted, sick men to ever walk this earth. The files, millions of pages regarding his conduct have been or begun to be redacted. So certain things that were blotted out are now being revealed. And the man who the Muslims see as an infidel, his name is deeply entrenched in pedophilia. Many world leaders are deeply involved in pedophilia based on what Epstein files have revealed. Little girls, and this is no secret, were being, well, on some platforms you can't say, but you know what I'm talking about. They engage in sexual activities with grown men, not based on what they're willing to do. World leaders, presidents, those who call princes, a whole group, interestingly, of Caucasian men, traffic them. When the files have begun to be revealed and Congress said, hey, you need to come and answer. You, Madam Attorney General and stuff, come here. Tell us about your behavior. Tell us what went on at this. Tell us that you have truly known and you're truly releasing the information about Epstein. Suddenly, the man whose name is mentioned thousands of times in reference to being there and being involved in certain behaviors has decided, hey, we need to attack Iran. Here's the interesting part as well. R. Kelly has been deemed an animal for dealing with about 2 or 3 girls who did many things according to what he said they wanted to do it, but that's a different story. But he's in jail. Puff Daddy, Diddy, grown women, not little girls. 4 years in jail for Cassie, whatever her name is. You got to go to jail because you were involved in this behavior where you watch an oil down a baby or whatever else it is. You made this girl do things. You got to go to jail. Shalom, my brother Apostle Josh. But all of these Caucasian men who are world leaders, many of them, they don't need to be arrested. They don't need to be touched. What needs to happen is we need to go to a place called Iran and release bombs where hundreds upon hundreds of little school girls were killed. Now, they weren't raped. They were not sodomized. No, one is bad enough. But at least they were victims of Epstein's and on his behavior. In reference to his behavior, as a matter of fact, who could come forward and talk. These little girls in Iran can't talk because they're little Muslim girls, little black girls. If you don't know, that's what you're seeing as if you're not white. These girls were slaughtered. And we don't need to touch them. Those who did it. Because after all, these are Iranian girls who, during the month of Ramadan, their parents have to watch their daughters dead. But it's not bad. Because after all, who are they? We have got Epstein situation to deal with at home. What I find very important is that the leader of this country, who is Muslim in Irfan, in Guyana now, has not condemned this is not secrets. These are public information being revealed. This is public information about Epstein. In the UK, Andrew Charles' brother, I don't call him a king, he's not king for me. What you did to my people, what your generations before you did to my people, you'll never be king in my eyes. He has been arrested. I think in Norway, one of those countries, the former president was arrested. Guyana's president has not even, as they say, picked his teeth to speak to what has been revealed about Epstein. But instead it's twofold. The man whose name is mentioned umpteen times being involved in this Epstein behavior, and the man who has instructed the U.S. military to act and destroy little Muslim girls. The Muslim leader of Guyana went to see him in the USA, accepted an invitation during the month of Ramadan to see a man who Islam calls an infidel. Along with him, Kamala Harris Bissessar, the Trinidadian Prime Minister. Only two of them out of all in the Caribbean took time to go to see Trump. Nobody else went. I want you all to understand. What would make a Muslim? Now it's interesting. There's a Muslim president in Guyana, and there's a Muslim who's the leader of the opposition in Guyana. For the first time in our history, we have two Muslims. One is president. One is the official leader of the opposition. There's no Christian between here. There's no Hindu here. Two Muslims. So you can't make mistake here. They used to pray together, which means they're from the same sect of Islam. They believe the same thing. Two of them. One is called president. The other is called the official leader of the opposition. And one who's called president decides that I'll go to see a man and I'll show the world that I stood by he signed a document about peace and whatever, about the Atlantic region or whatever region they call it. I don't remember what name they call it. Southern Command and stuff. Oh, I was there. So while you're fasting, you found the time to go to where the infidel is, according to your faith, who has been responsible, based on instruction, for destroying so many little girls. We're not talking about adults yet. Because the spirit of the anti-Messiah, you need to write this, the spirit of the anti-Messiah does not discriminate in religion. And some of you will never understand it when I say it. You'll understand it in the sweet by and by. The spirit of the anti-Messiah does not discriminate in religion. Watch this. He discriminates through religion. Religion would be the engine through which the spirit of the anti-Messiah will control the whole world. He doesn't discriminate in religion. In essence, therefore, you could be whatever you want to be. It's not a problem. But you will only worship what I say. And how I say you worship. You could be Muslim. But when I call you to bow, you will bow to what I say. You could be Christian. When I say you need to bow to this image here, you bow to that. You could be Hindu. You will bow to what I say. So it discriminates through religion. How does it happen now? Where the act of worship, which is religious, if you don't bow to what I say, I'll kill you. That's what the spirit of anti-Messiah does. If you do not attack who we say you must attack, you will leave you on your own and you become an enemy of ours. We won't spend our money there. Hail up our frogs. In Guyana, there is the official leader of the opposition. And I saw Sister Corina ask me to speak to this, and I have no issue speaking to it. Because I did already, by the way. During the month of Ramadan, it is known that this is the holiest month for Muslims. It is known. You could be a backyard demon and you know the truth. The month of Ramadan is seen as the holiest for Muslims. It is also known, well, there was a time when it was known, that some of the most serious people, when it comes to what they believe in and what they stand for, were Muslims. Now that was, it used to be said that church people weak, but boy, and many young men have turned to Islam because they saw so much weakness in preachers that they said, well, this here, like with Farrakhan and stuff, we have strength. We see strength in Farrakhan, and Farrakhan could speak to Obama, Farrakhan could speak about Bush, Farrakhan could speak against Clinton, and these church people chicken and scared. So they have decided, many young men, oh, we need to turn to Islam because there's strength here. I wonder what you say now. When you have lived to see that your religious leaders cannot even open their mouth to tell you what they know to be the truth and to say it publicly. It is known, this is no secret, that Muslims are against homosexuality. Why? Because Islam teaches you that marriage is between a man and a woman. Islam teaches you that Lot in Sodom and Gomorrah, the city was destroyed because of homosexuality. Islam teaches you that. Imams teach you that. Asim is Muslim. Chow Pao is Muslim. Tell the truth. Because these brothers don't fake. I know they don't play around with what they believe in. So let's tell the truth. Islam teaches you that marriage is between a man and a woman. It prohibits homosexuality. So much so that in Iran, if you go to Iran, or you go to Qatar, or you go to Saudi Arabia, yeah, Dubai, you go to Kuwait, you head to the African territories, and you behave as, or even say that you're homosexual, you will not be alive. And in some cases, you will not be free. This is known. This is no secret. Azruddin Mohamed was fasting, is fasting. Being the official leader of the opposition, he went to a mosque and he spoke to the fact, which is true, that homosexuals who cannot be trusted. You're speaking to people who are deemed to be, in reference to two of them, corrupt. Now, whether you could be trusted or you cannot be trusted, you are not supposed to allow homosexuals to be in a mosque. That is known. This is no secret. May I inform you that just like Christianity, Islam demands discrimination. Oh, you didn't know that? Well, you learned today. Christianity, unlike what many preachers tell you all, demands discrimination. Further to that, life demands discrimination. The spirit of the Antichrist tells you that you are not supposed to discriminate. I want you all to hear me. That is the direct instruction from a demonic spirit, because your life teaches you to discriminate. Let me show you how simple this is. If you have a bowl of fruit, what were you taught? One bad apple does what? And it's a principle in biology, by the way. One bad herring does what? Type the response. What were you taught before this spirit began to manifest himself more and more and more in your society? What were you taught? If you have a bowl of fruits and you see one bad out of 200, what will you do with the bad one? What would you do? I'll wait for your answer. What will you do? Thank you, my son. One bad apple spoiled the whole bunch, as they would say, or the whole barrel. No, talk to me. Because you will always be inclined to take out that which is bad. Is that not discrimination? Okay, let's go deeper then. If all of us are driving on the road, since we know what side we're supposed to drive on, we know you're not supposed to crisscross lanes and stuff. Well, in Guyana, that doesn't happen. If the road is bad, you drive wherever you can. But in most cases, if in the US or in certain parts of the world, including Guyana, by law, you're supposed to drive on the left-hand side of the road. If you are driving all over the place in a dangerous manner, you are discriminated against because you picked out of a line of vehicles and police say, pull over there. That is discrimination. The moment you have 50 cars traveling in one direction and you stop me, you have discriminated against me because you picked me out of others. Life teaches you to do that. Immigration officers are taught. Police officers are taught to observe people's behavior. And if you see one of them acting in a manner that's suspicious, you discriminate. What nonsense you telling people? Now, for everybody to sound deep, oh, I don't discriminate. Well, then you're not a human being. If you open a bag of sliced bread, you discriminate because you choose which one you want. When you are selecting the team, they just had the soccer football finals. When you choose and Super Bowl, when they choose the final 11 to go on the field, others sit on the bench. That's discrimination. So don't tell me nonsense that you don't discriminate. It is a normal human behavior to discriminate. But the spirit of the Antichrist tells you that you shouldn't do this. So here you are being made to function in a manner that's contrary to human behavior. And so here is where the catch is. This spirit then says, do what I tell you. So your conscience says, I shouldn't do this. But the spirit says, do what I say. When they're giving contracts to build structures, 10 contractors would bid for the same project and one gets it. 9 were discriminated against. You discriminate against the butter of the bread, my son, the end of the bread. People say, I don't eat bread, and you discriminate. How would the bread feel? How is the bread supposed to feel where you say, tell the end, I don't want you? In this country, when contractors bid for a contract, one gets it. The others are discriminated against. That is normal human behavior. When you apply for a job, if 10 people apply for the job and one gets it, what happened to the 9? What has happened to the 9? Are they not discriminated against? But then you tell people that you don't discriminate. And so during this month, when Azruddin Mohamed is fasting, and I'm saying this because you need to understand how the spirit of anti-Messiah works. I'm telling you why I'm saying this. When Azruddin is fasting, he went to mosque to break his fast. And he spoke to homosexual being in the mosque. He was right. Because all the Muslims know it. All of you, including your finale, knows the truth. You know the truth. You know what he said is 100% true. But you know what happened to Azruddin? Because I warned him. You see, when you want to have political power, and you want to have it so badly that your faith is no longer preeminent, you're going to have a problem. I warned you. That's why, for me, I will tell you here now. And I dare any LGB, well, there's no transgender, there's no T in my book. You could never be a T as much as you want. If you're a man, you're a man. You're born woman, you're a woman. That's what you are. You could be alpha, gamma, beta, theta, pi. You could be all you want. I dare you to come to me and do what you did to Azruddin. And make me come back with some statement and say, well, I didn't really mean it like that. Who? Where was your voice? Susan, when a little 11-year-old girl was entrapped in a hotel, they knew she was in there. You knew that people searched the pool. You saw the video footage. You saw all of that. That she was nowhere in any pool. Where was your voice? You couldn't speak. You chose not to speak. When your fellow homosexuals are on the road cussing each other, calling people all manner of names, when they go live on broadcast and speak so wickedly vile, wretched words against each other, you say nothing. When they look at a person and discriminate against them and call them all manner of names, you say nothing. But when Azruddin Mohamed said that the mosque or imams are allowing homosexuals to come in there, you have a problem? How is that just? How is that justifiable? But I told Azruddin, I'm talking public, what I said publicly. These people have a normal behavior. Every single year they do, because I read the book after the ball. I know exactly what they will do. When political time comes around, you saw they do it to me. They come and ask me, listen, what is your view? And should you be elected president, how would you treat with homosexuals? They're Guyanese, I said it before. And if I'm elected to be president, they are Guyanese people who shall abide by the laws of Guyana. This is simple for me. But here's the part I want you to hear very clearly, because you missed it the first time apparently. If Guyanese choose to vote, which I say they should do, say let us vote on this homosexual story, because I cannot believe that there were so many men in my country who were so highly offended that they cannot jump on each other's backs. I never knew that this was such a big problem in Guyana. To this day, I cannot understand where all of these men came from to condemn Azruddin Mohamed for standing up as a man. I cannot believe it. That imams can't talk. You tough Muslims who go to the mosque and you follow Islam because it's a strong religion. What happened to you? How can you not speak on what you believe in your holiest month? Because there's a spirit behind it. Well, let me tell you what I say again. If they choose to vote in this country, if I'm president, and there's a referendum, and Guyanese say, we choose to have homosexuality as being legal, I shall resign. I told you all that. And I mean it. Because there's no office in terms of political office, which is a public office, that's more important than what I believe in. I told you that. And I'll say it to you again publicly. There is no office, including that of the official leader of the opposition, to make me change my position spiritually to accept a secular, worldly one. But when you want power, you would compromise even what you believe in. So you come back to say, I didn't really mean it like that. Well, I mean it just what I said. Homosexuality is abominable according to what my God has said. It is unacceptable. It is documented in scripture. And you can't make me come to you and try to polish that. What is worst is when a man was kicked out of a country for being a pedophile and he's now a minister in this country. I have a problem with that. I have a major problem with that. So don't ask me to adjust what I said. Men must be that. What I want you all to do, all y'all went and did your little video clips because I saw you coming after Azruddin Mohamed because I knew it was going to happen to him. So when you do your little video clips, please go to Dubai. Kindly go to Kuwait. I'm sending you to countries. Don't go to Iran because bombs are flying there. So stay away from there. Go to Qatar. I'm asking to go to Nigeria. Please, go to these countries. All y'all did little videos attacking Azruddin. And I want you to go in the street to say, Susan, you go first. You lead them because, of course, you the highest ranking, as far as I'm aware, homosexual in this country. So you go, you lead the charge. You go on a plane with them to Qatar and stand in the street to say that you're a proud homosexual because you're not going to be discriminated against. Remember that? You're proud. You don't have a problem with that. And they're not supposed to talk against you. So go to Iraq. Go to Afghanistan. Head to Kuwait. Please. Take them with you. And all y'all going to tell me you're proud. And they shouldn't discriminate against you. Go to where Ibrahim Traore is. And you stand where Traore is and tell him, hey, I am a proud homosexual. And you're not supposed to stop me from going into a mosque. Please go there and do it. Go and do it, please. When you are unable to take a stance regarding your faith, people will control you. I don't want power. And that's why I differ from so many people. I don't need power. I'm already empowered. So, politically speaking, I would be of service to you, but I don't need power from you. You don't give me power to act. I know, I understand who I am. I have power given to me by my Father in heaven. I don't need power from men. So you won't find me going on a platform to try to say what you like so that I would not offend you and then you vote for me. I don't do that. Because you don't give me power. My Messiah said that I am more than a conqueror. He said it through Shaul. If I'm more than a conqueror, you don't give me power to act. You may elect me to represent you, but you don't give me power to act. I don't need people to give me power. So you're not going to find me saying things and adjusting the truth and bending the truth. So what has happened is that Odessa, I think it is, Primus, sat and represented Azruddin Mohamed at a homosexual meeting. That's what it was. When they had their manifesto launch. And first of all, Azruddin, you're Muslim, and the homosexuals in this country had a manifesto launch, you knew it, where they were supposed to have children being taught about this behavior, and children being protected in schools, and children having systems in place. What does a child need to hear about? Why must any grown man come to tell my child or woman about homosexuality? You know it. And you had Odessa representing you. And she did not condemn it. Because it was pre-election period. So you have to speak nicely. And we know we won't discriminate. Listen to me. I told you all plainly. You are going to jail if you come mess around Guyanese children. Nobody else said that. Not another politician said that. Because that's election time. Barrett afterwards said, well, you know, we don't support same-sex marriage. So I don't know why Susan is there, because Susan Barrett is married, according to her. So I don't know how you don't support it, but in your party, a lesser mortal is married to a woman. And in the House is in the House Assembly. And I told you, I warned you as a nation that this is the act of showing Guyana that if she could rise so high to be minister, and you don't have a problem with it, then before you know it, the vote in Parliament shall be overwhelming because you didn't make a fuss about it. Well, the record will show where I stand in the matter. And I don't need to be empowered politically to stand in the matter. Azruddin Mohamed, if you are 25% Muslim for real, you will stand on what you believe in. You don't bow to the system unless you are controlled by the system. You know that they should not be in the mosque, so say it. Because Susan is not Muslim. Ash Wednesday, she went to the Catholic Church and they put ash in her head. What really are you? So don't tell me that you are not Muslim. Because if a Muslim, you wouldn't be married to a woman. So what makes you think that it is acceptable? And that's where I close today. The homosexuals and Priya and all of them began to speak. Because Azruddin must be deemed this worst creature because of what he said. But they did not say that Susan was most disrespectful to an entire faith in this country. Not to Azruddin, not to a mosque. Her actions showed disregard for the Muslim faith. Period. Call it what it is. Let me make it clear to you. I would invite all of you to come as your ministries, and please come when I'm there. Ensure that you come when I am there. All of you who believe that you could just walk into some religious environment and do what you want, come as your ministries when I'm there, please. Please send a message to me. Let Apostle Thomas know that I'll be there. And you come and demand to say something in there. And if you open your mouth to speak in any manner while you behave in this way, you will hear from me. And all Muslims, all Hindus, all Christians, all of you who believe what you believe in will hear from me how you speak regarding your faith. Come in there and tell us that homosexuality is okay and you're a proud homosexual. You come as your ministries when I'm there, tell the whole world that you're a proud homosexual. And let me have the microphone in my hand. Now I know at Apostle Thomas you won't even make it probably to the second bench to say that. You are not free to come into my religious space to do what you want. That is called disrespect. Don't confuse this thing. You should not take your eyes and pass people. Sorry, U.S. citizens. Let me talk like Guyanese. Your eyes pass Muslims to know that these people's teaching prohibits homosexuality, but you walk in there as homosexual. It is disrespectful. Period. And the older imams, the old-fashioned Muslim would tell you where to get off. I know that because I know I've dealt with them. I have been friends with many Muslims. Not this news. Most of the news said they can't talk because of the power of the anti-Messiah working through contracts and through money. But here, the record will show that those who are of the way of Yeshua stand in principle and stand for righteousness. So you can get me to bow to nonsense. And if every homosexual were to hate Azruddin because he stood for his belief, the Muslim should love him. It's that simple. Because last I checked, the population of those who are out of the closet isn't that great. But it seems as though the closet is getting larger and is becoming a bond. Not a closet anymore. You'll have a whole stadium now apparently in Guyana. Because I've never seen, again I say, so many men prepared to defend this behavior. The spirit of the Antichrist will demonstrate what you saw with Susan. Walk into your places of worship, as you call it, and say that although your belief teaches you to reject this, I say accept me. That's what you're missing in Guyana. Because those who follow me know exactly why I'm saying this and know what it means. The spirit of the anti-Messiah will do just that. Will put them in places where you know that this should not be. But because of the spirit, you're afraid. And some of you who talk about Yeshua, you are no different. Because I know many of you, because of your job, you, although you say Yeshua, will not take the risk to speak against even the government of this country. You. The Antichrist hasn't come to you yet. And you're already showing the world that when it comes to your little $2 job, you are prepared to shut your mouth about Yeshua. You're prepared to not say a word about your faith, to maintain your salary and to protect your pension. Well, watch like the prophet of man. You look at coughing today because if my throat were good. I've been hollering here already. What will it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? What will it profit you to gain a pension and lose your soul? You scared? You're afraid of what? Yahweh is my light and my salvation. He is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? A 1,000 may fall at my side, 10,000 at my right hand. It shall not come near me. Only with my eyes will I behold and see the reward of the wicked. Why are you afraid? I was young, said David. Now I'm old. I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Why are you afraid? You have to protect your pension. Your pension? The fact that you have to live off of your pension means that you are an economic liability. Just know that. You're not a business person. You didn't make investments in life, and everybody isn't called to that. But just understand that. When you structure your life in a certain way, you don't live off pension. Even if they arrest you and put you in a jail, I know of Shaul. I know of Yochanan. I know of Barnabas. I know of Silas. I know of Yeshua the Messiah. They were all arrested. What makes you so different? Then you sing, I want to be more like you, but you're scared of being arrested for righteousness' sake. If you, Azruddin Mohamed, do not stand fast on what you believe in, you may have political power, but nobody shall respect you for what you believe in. Just know that. And it's a dangerous place to be in when people have you politically empowered, but they have no respect for your religion. And that's Irfan Ali, 100%. So, Pagwa, oh, he could be a part of Holi. Diwali, he's in it. Christmas, he's in it. He's everything. There's no haram in his book. Can you at least stand for what you believe in? If it's right or wrong, that's your business. My point is, can you at least be a man who stands on what you believe in and deal with them based on what you believe in? If you have a vagina, a clitoris, and a urethra with a vaginal hole, you're a woman. Period. I don't care how much suit you put on. If you have a period after 28 days, you are a woman. If you use birth control pills to stop bleeding, you're still a woman. If you cut out your ovary, you're still a woman. I have to be cautious about what I'm saying to you. You could go to the gym, use all the protein you want, try to be as masculine as ever, and 28 days later, boom, blood spot. You're spotting, you're dotting, you are a woman. Here you are. Oh, this is, call it what you want. You could call this hate speech, call it discrimination, call it what you want. You are a woman. You, sir, you could twist shape all you want. If when you see another man, your body goes up in the air, you're a man. It's possible. But because I tell you before, some of y'all have got some small business issues. So I know that you got a problem. But you're still a man. Even if you operate a mom and pop little candy stand across the road because your business is so small, you're still a man. Cut the nonsense out. Don't tell me that in this day and age, with my intelligence, I did not matriculate. As a big word is. You didn't find me go to university to come out a fool, to please the world. I have the right, and I say this even to homosexuals, you have the right to tell me you hate me. I told you that, and you do it very well. Go live. Tell the world I'm nasty, I'm mean, I'm undercover. Do it. It's your right to talk. What is wrong with you in Guyana? Why y'all get so soft? Why can't you allow people to say what they want? I have told homosexuals, say what you want about me, I don't have a problem. Many may go live after this. Go ahead. Do a little video clips and say that one London is like girls, like boy. Do whatever you want. Do it. But don't reduce my country to one where people don't have the right to speak and the right to disagree with each other. Muslims have told me, Hindus have told me that my religion is fake and false. They call me fake apostle. Does it bother me? Do I go to the police and say this person has spoken ill against me and has caused me emotional damage? It is your right to do it. They call me racist. Call me whatever you want. It is your right to do it. That's my policy. Oh, but you could say that you're a proud homosexual, but I can't say that I don't like homosexuality. That's the country we're in now. You have the right to say what you want. I don't have a problem with you calling me what you want to call me. What I have a problem with is where you would tell me that I don't have the right to say how I feel about your behavior. Once you go down that path, we're going to have a problem. We will have a very serious issue. Once you want to create this environment in Guyana, where only one set of people have a voice, and you could try to use your political engines to discriminate against people. You want to talk about discrimination? Susan, did you speak against the fact that Azruddin Mohamed has vehicles just like you? Well, he has better than yours because you went to see his Lamborghini, but that's another story. Let's say the Land Cruisers. May Thomas, who's also sanctioned, has vehicles too. What makes it okay for insurance companies to refuse to insure his vehicles? Which part of the world says that this man is not allowed to drive a vehicle on the road because the US sanctioned him? He has breached no insurance in this country before. He didn't fake any document beforehand. Did you speak against the fact that May Thomas was receiving money from your administration? Huh? While Azruddin couldn't do business in this country? When they both are sanctioned in the same act? Is that okay? Are we okay with the fact that this man was singled out for discrimination? But now when he talks against homosexuality, he's discriminating. So what about his experience? Huh? What makes it right to do it to him, but he can't do it back to somebody else? Hypocrisy would never be accepted by me. In any form or fashion, hypocrisy would not be accepted. You could hate me all you want, but I would never accept hypocrisy. What goes for one must go for somebody else. You didn't condemn Barrett. You did not condemn Barrett, Susan, when Barrett says he's not going to accept homosexual marriages. None of y'all from sodomy camp condemned Barrett. None of y'all came out and said, I did a little video. None of you actually offended anyway and said anything about Barrett when he said he's not going to allow homosexual marriages. You should have been against him. Is that not discrimination? If Barrett says men could marry women, women could marry men, but we're not allowing woman to woman, a man, that's discrimination. Why didn't you go and condemn Barrett? During election time he said it. Why didn't you condemn him? Oh, but Azruddin talk about his religious space being invaded by people who his religion do not accept their behavior, and you come out with your nonsense. The spirit of the Antichrist will force people to subdue their conscience. What this? To subdue their conscience so they can reveal their desire for association. And it's at work among those of y'all in Yeshua too, where you subdue your conscience so you can reveal your desire for association. So some of y'all know something is wrong among saints, but because of who the saint is, you subdue your conscience and make it sound right because you want to keep associating with other saints. That is the spirit of the anti-Messiah. It isn't right because one saint is doing it and wrong because somebody else does it. If it is wrong, it is wrong. And that's why I mean some of y'all don't get along, because I don't play with nonsense. I don't tolerate hypocrisy. If it's wrong for you, it has to be wrong for them. I am instructing you, saints. I am imploring you, saints. Be watchful for the spirit of the Antichrist. It is already at work in Guyana, in the USA, in any part of the world. The spirit of the Antichrist is already at work. You got to be watchful. You have to be vigilant. This spirit is at work even in the church, among people who call saints. Be watchful. With that, I bid you shalom. I trust that you will do well and that Yahweh's strength will preserve you. In this evil hour, may you persevere. May you stand resolutely. Never quit, never quake, never bow, never compromise. Knowing all these things, you are more than conquerors. I bid you shalom and I extend to you much love. You be strong, saints. Thank you, my Father. Thank you, Daddy. I am so grateful. And my Father has taught me to be a man, and that I will always be. You all do well.